it, but
No,
this came up after Walt was gone, though, didn't it?
Well, we've always been very conservative. I think Mother always sort of wanted Dad to say, just, it's nice the way it is. Why
It's
do you
always
want,
done. Let it alone.
what do you want to do that for?
Yeah.
And so I don't think an opinion from either one of us is qualified here. Do you?
No, I don't think so at all. When he started Disneyland, I thought, how can he, this is something that nobody's ever done, and how can, there's no pattern to follow. How can you do it?
Yeah.
But somehow he had, and all within his own organization, you see, he pulled this all together, and they went out and got good people, but how did they know how to do that without any experience?
That's a question that's asked a lot and was asked of us on the plane. Where does your company find these people that can do these wonderful things so well that have never been done before? Maybe you can tell us that. Where do you all come from?
It is the truth. Generations come up and
Well, I can answer for this group of people pretty well. We're here because, well, I knew I was going to do this when I was 5 years old. There was no question in my mind. But, and I think Steve and Tom all share the same view. And you'll find that if you look around the company, most of the people who work on our projects would tell you they wouldn't want to work anywhere else. And I guarantee you, once somebody does work on one of these, there's no place else to go. You can't, you know, how do you top up? There's no way to do that.
well, that's a wonderful thing, you know.
Yeah,
It gives you great security to know this, you know. That, but I've always had a feeling, don't get too big, too large.
and
Too late.
Yeah, as I said,
We're here.
I have some bad news for you. You said something that prompted a question. Did you coach Walt a lot? Did you ever, and you too, did you guys get into, just sit around the kitchen table and talk about what he was doing? And,
Yes, but he did the talking. He did the, oh, we didn't have him, really, did we?
No, except maybe sometimes did not seem as excited as he thought we should be. I know
Yeah.
he'd be all fired up about something starting way back when he used to bring his pistons that he was working on for his train, which really I think was one of the beginnings of this whole thing, and he'd bring it to the dinner table at night and pass it around and we talk about this piston. But I think that he never stopped talking about what he was going to do, what he wanted to do.
His life.
Yeah.
And
That didn't make him boring.
No, I'm so grateful that everything he thought of and started has come to pass. Very grateful. I think we all are. So happy about it, and it's such a clean, beautiful business to be in.
Why this kind of a thing appealed to Dad so is because you can change it. And he got bored with things you couldn't change. He said, a film, you put it in a can and that's it. But something that you can continually change the shows, update them, upgrade if necessary wherever, and that's why I think something like this is really in the spirit of what everything that he wanted to do. I don't think he ever would have gotten bored here.
Well, we wouldn't.
if we were to think about it, and if it's a big if, obviously, just off the wild side of your head, what other business could we now get into? If we had Walt here and he was sitting here today, you talk about him getting bored. I've got to believe he'd say, okay, we finished this now.
We haven't done that ski resort yet.
That's what I was thinking of too. We couldn't do it, but we might someday.
That was something he really wanted to do. He really liked the idea of skiing. He thought it was a neat, going way back when he used to go. He never skied well, but he liked it. You know, got involved in the Olympics and his, you know, but I think we could do a wonderful thing with that.
Well, that's sort of on the order of this. He wanted to kind of build it the same way with a new slant to his ski resorts.
But I think what your future dreams are for Epcot, that it would be, and his original thing, the Epcot idea, was it'd be a sort of a center for, ideas from all over the world. Important things would happen here. You start out entertaining beautifully, and through that you build an audience, and you begin to educate, and you begin to do other wonderful things. They all happen here. I think that's
It's the headquarters.
a nice goal.
One of the things you touched on earlier as well was we, meaning us in the company, have recently taken a lot of heat about, well, where's the Dome City, and you didn't do what Walt said you were going to do and all that. Is there a good answer for that, other than the one that we all are content with, which was, look, he was talking a concept.
Yeah.
You know, it would have changed. Are there maybe I'm wrong, but are there other mediums that had we had that leadership at this point, or even knowing what we know now, that we could get into? Maybe what I'm getting at is people like to pigeonhole Walt as a leader in the entertainment business. Maybe he was not specifically in the entertainment business. It reminds me of the Pennsylvania Railroad story. I had a chance to buy an airplane once. I said, no, we're in the train business, and it promptly went out of business because airplanes became the next thing. It seems to me, looking back, that Walt had an amazing, almost terrifying ability to look 10, 15, 20 years down the road and say, you know what, this is going to be hot in 20 years. We got to do it right now. Is there that left for us? Is there another medium, a whole new thing that we could be doing?
Sure there is.
Beyond entertainment, beyond film?
His mind was never inactive. When I can remember when he was so interested in airplanes. We used to go over at the airport and stand and watch planes land. And this was he just was thinking all the time, and railroads the same way. We'd go over and watch the trains come in. And then that all developed into this, I think, his interest in those things. He didn't, our first plane was a little one, and we had one pilot. And Walt said then he wanted all his son-in-laws and everybody to learn to fly that plane. So after he'd been up in it 2 or 3 times, he said, I don't want you to touch it. He said, that's a business all its own. You could keep away from it. We'll get pilots to fly that plane. But he wanted the best of everything, and he got it.
Now, apropos of what your question, though, I think Dad really was an entertainer. I think that was his prime concern, but he was fascinated with progress, fascinated with all kinds of technology. Given another maybe upbringing, another sort of direction or something, he might have been Albert Einstein. I don't know, because he had that kind of a mind that, but I think he was the guy who would have pursued something with a passion to some point of you know, discovery. But I think that he wasn't an entertainer. I think he was really more concerned with going way back to when he was a child, everything that I've ever heard about him. He really, things will come from here, and I think that's what he hoped to create in Epcot, was, as you know, that center where maybe wonderful things would happen, some, you know, scientific conferences and that sort of thing. You got all the great minds of the world together here in this wonderful place, and create a very congenial atmosphere, and wonderful things will happen, like Cal Arts, where he wanted to get all the arts together. And
That's a wonderful thing to do, too.
but I think that he was really an entertainer. I mean, he was really, he felt that that was his expertise.
Did he get his...
That doesn't mean you can't do something beyond that now, you know.
It seems to me that what you're saying is he had an instinct for that. Did he do a lot of hard research? Did Walt go... Did he go to movies that other people made and watch the audience reaction, or...?
We went to every show that ever came along, everything.
He loved entertainment. He loved theater.
We'd
loved
go to
film.
New York, and we'd be booked into every show they had there. And
Circuses.
He was always searching. We'd go to Europe. He'd find everything over there that he could say. Always searching.
Yeah.
Just always.
Did
he talk to the people about it, or did he just kind of observe it?
And anybody he'd talk to about it. You know, when we were up at Zermatt, and he was making a picture up there, he'd talk to the people that were just walking around, you know, the town people, and get all he could get out of them, what they thought of the he was a searcher of knowledge all the time. And he had a lot of...
He was curious about everything.
Mm-hmm. He used to take the kids over to ride on a little pony ride. And he'd sit there, I wouldn't go with him, but he'd take Diane and Sharon over, and he'd watch the people. What did they like that or something? And it would be a dusty little place, but he'd sit there, and then he'd take them out to lunch, and take them over to the merry-go-round and watch them and see what, and he